you know, I want to make Texas better. I want to protect it for my kids, my hopefully future grandkids and future generations. I'm an eighth generation Texas, and I saw our rights being eroded day in, day out by government.
Welcome to Shot Callers. My name is Michelle Evans. I'm the political director for Texans for Vaccine Choice. And today I have the pleasure of talking to Matt Morgan, who just won his primary election to be the next state representative out of Fort Bend County. House District, remind me, because I'm
26.
blanking now. 26. He defeated an incumbent quite soundly. It was an impressive victory in the primary in a completely unprecedented primary season. So we're really excited to have Matt Morgan, a recommended candidate, headed to the House after a November election. So just want to catch up with you, get to know you a little bit more, and just kind of get some background on you and what made you want to run for office.
Well, as you may or may not know, I actually ran 4 years ago when it ended up being an open seat. I was challenging Rick Miller at the time, and then he stepped down. And then it was JC and I, and there was a third person in that race. I ended up 49 votes short of winning outright in a three-person race, and then lost the runoff by a few hundred votes. So the reason that got me interested in running for office and seeking to do this job was, I want to make Texas better. I want to protect it for my kids, my hopefully future grandkids and future generations. I'm an eighth generation Texas, and I saw our rights being eroded day in, day out by government. In fact, there's another state legislature who has made this statement multiple times that says, there's no law or very few laws that actually grant more power to we the people. So
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm about is, I want to make sure that we protect things for future generations.
So you ran your first campaign in 2020, which was kind of a completely crazy year, what with the beginning of COVID and, another presidential election. So I don't envy you for doing that in 2020. It must have been an insane undertaking, but glad that you came back and gave it another try. Give us kind of an insight about your district and what it's like. I know that Fort Bend County has changed a lot over the course of the last decade or so. It's grown quite a bit and shifted a little bit politically.
Yeah. So, Fort Bend County is, for all intents and purposes, purple district, or purple county, if you will. We vote in some Republicans and we vote in some Democrats here, unfortunately. We have grown significantly and continue to grow. People are running from, the policies in the city of Houston out to the suburbs, which is what we are. We're a suburb of Harris County area, where they defund police and their crime rates are ridiculous. Ours are much better. Unfortunately, they don't always change their voting habits when they flee those areas. But the district is basically Katy, Richmond, Rosenberg, which Katy's the biggest city, although there are three different state reps that cover parts of Katy. Katy is actually, the city limits of Katy is in three different counties. It's in Fort Bend, it's in Waller, and it's in Harris County. So, in fact, there's a rock that is placed where the three counties actually meet. And the mayor of Katy actually wants the three Republican state reps from Katy to actually take a picture at the rock with him at some point in time. So, anyway, I'm sure we'll get that done. But so I decided to run. Like I said, I want to make Texas better, safer, stronger for kids, family, and future. But that's the district and the area I'm running.
Okay. So running for office, obviously you've done it twice now. It's not for the faint of heart. But what you talked about a little bit about what generally made you motivated to run. You wanted to make Texas better, but what specifically this go round made you want to challenge an incumbent who, on paper was at least popular with leadership inside the Texas House?
Well, he was popular with leadership, and they spent millions, probably, for our best guesstimation, he spent 2 million more than we did in this campaign. So they spent a lot of money to retain him, but the local people were not happy with him. So he may have been popular in Austin, but at home he was not, and that's because of multiple things. Was he wasn't voting the way that the Republican primary voters wanted or expected him to vote on things. In fact, if you look at the Rice University Index before the last special session, he was actually one of the most liberal members of the House, right? So in the bottom 10, uh, in the bottom 10 is being most liberal. So and there were constituents that would reach when I announced I was running, they would reach out to me to try and help them with state issues because his office wasn't responding to them. And so I would, or some of them were county issues. So I would do the best I could to, maneuver that to, hey, this needs to go to Senator Coker's because I can't handle it. I'm not the state rep, or, Senator Huffman because House District 26 has both Senate districts in it. Or go to, here's your county commissioner, their chief of staff, I put them on an email chain. This is what's going on. This is how we can, this is the person that can best address and help you with this issue and that type of thing. In fact, one other state rep who has a large unincorporated area, like the majority of the people in House District 26 are unincorporated, so they don't live inside the city limit at all. And he said, you're kind of like their mayor almost because they don't have very much government. They have a county commissioner and they have you, and that's kind of their two local bases of government that they have, if you will. So, you have to, you have a lot more constituent communication interaction. So that's a really important thing to me, and that's one of the reasons I raised my hand to run is if we're running as Republicans, then we should be voting as Republicans and be pushing, those agenda items that are given to us, and and do the things that the party expects and wants us to do, right? And that should be done before we do any other work in there, which is, I'll bring it up here, which is why I signed on with the contract of Texas. I was one of the initial signers of it because I believe in that. I wanted to make sure that we get those things done, including the priorities first.
Let's talk a little bit about the contract with Texas because it's made some headlines. I think now you're up to 25 signatories on it, at least 5 incumbents, and then many presumptive or GOP nominees. What about that contract is something that really speaks to you, or what was the reason behind you signing it, and how do you think that adhering to it would improve the processes and perhaps specifically for our audience improve the chances of us passing really strong vaccine choice legislation?
Sure. So right now, the power in Texas is with 3 people: the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the speaker of the House, right? And so by limiting the speaker's power, what we're doing is we're actually empowering all of the members, more, right? So like one of the things is limiting the speaker to 2 terms. If you can't be speaker more than 2 terms, you're elected your first term, and then you get 1 term to run for reelection, raise a bunch of money, which the speaker does now, if you will, and then you're gone the next term, right? So you only have, it limits your power significantly and actually gives it back to the members. If you go back in time in the Texas legislature, um, the speaker would only run for one session and sometimes would resign during that session and they would elect somebody else because it was a burdensome job that nobody wanted because they didn't have the power that they have now. So if Texans for Vaccine Choice wants to get something done, if you don't have the speaker on your side to help push that through right now, it's an extremely difficult task for you to get done. He can kill pretty much anything he wants to kill. So by changing that and limiting the power of the speaker, we're bringing the power back to the members, which makes it a whole lot easier. Even if the speaker pushes the button and says the speaker votes, yes or whatever, everyone else is going to vote the way they should, the way their constituents expect them to. And so that's, I think the core regarding that. And then, obviously there's different pieces such as, we shouldn't make deals with Democrats to let the Democrats pick our parliamentarians, for example, right? Who then kill our legislative priorities because the parliamentarians are, former Barack Obama, attorneys and stuff that kill our priorities with stupid points of order that have never been used before and, have no precedence before. Or if they did, if they went the other way with it and they broke from that just so that they could kill, some of those good bills. So.
A little known fact, my tweets were actually a part of a point of order in 2023. So that was kind of exciting to learn. I don't know. I can't remember if it's a point of order that was upheld. I don't think it was. So you were recommended by TFVC, and we thank you for answering our survey and committing to advancing medical liberty in the House once elected. Ultimately, what would be the gold standard legislative approach to vaccination, in your opinion, or, the policies regarding vaccination in Texas?
Well, it should be your choice, right? So the legislative priority that we voted on, that's something that we need to bring to the floor right away. We need to have good legislation regarding that. Not some watered down version with a bunch of amendments, which, they like to do. It just needs to be clear and simple. Texans have the right to choose what vaccinations and when that they get those. And now, I'll be honest, I'm very fortunate as a father that we found a extremely wonderful pediatrician out of Sugar Land that sees our kid, Dr. Charles Hasu. Sorry, I got to give him a plug there. He's fantastic because, you know, we took our kids to him, and my wife was like, hey, the kids are supposed to get like 3 shots and it's got like 4 vaccines each, and she's like, I'm concerned. And he said, you know what, totally fine. I wasn't even there to even have the conversation. She did. He said, you know what, why don't we do one and then we'll come back, and a few months later we can maybe do another one. And then, if there's certain things that you're, whatever, we'll get a specific vaccine for what you want versus what's not. Because you can break it down. You don't have to get 3 in a shot. You can break that down and get individual ones. So, he allowed us to already, be more comfortable with that and, go our own way and our own route as far as that's concerned. And we did not adhere to, the prescribed, vaccine recommendations or suggestions, that are currently out there. We modified and manipulated that fit our what we wanted, and I believe that we need to make sure that that's in writing so that we preserve Texans' rights forever to be able to.
What a novel concept, right? Patient-centered, individualized medicine. It's like it's a whole new thing.
That's why I had to give him a plug. He's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. So what was it, or was there anything during the pandemic, specifically with regard to your local government or the emergency powers of the governor or anything like that, that maybe made you realize that there's something else going on here? It's not just a virus. There's something much bigger at play that we need to address as a legislature.
Well, yes. So one, our local governments tried to shut us all down. In fact, I am excited to be an incoming, well, hopefully do have to get elected in November, which we are working hard at that now to ensure that that happens. But an incoming freshman with Shelley Luther, who, as you guys know, was put in jail over, not adhering to those COVID mandates. We were similar. I read the regulations regarding who could and could not work, which um, I don't know how your audience feels about this, but I'm not a big fan of someone telling me I can or cannot go to work, or can or cannot open my business and see customers and stuff like that. So I'm,
I would say that probably 99.99% of our supporters would be in your corner there.
no, I know,
Yeah.
I know that. I'm
We're
just
pretty good at
anyway.
that.
Yeah. So, but it's it's ridiculous that we have to basically go ask our government for permission to do, our God-given rights. And so, so we shouldn't have to do that. And quite frankly, I opened the doors to my small business, and we did what we could to help, the people that we work with and work for, and that type of thing. Because, you know, and I said, look, if they come after me, they come after me, and I'll deal with the consequences of that. Fortunately, no one did, but there was other businesses in the building we're at that they all didn't do anything. They shut the doors completely, and many of them have never returned, right? And so we killed a lot of business because of COVID and the scare for that. And obviously, it scares me that uh, our government has that much power, to shut us down, stop us, from being able to earn a living, keep a roof over our heads and stuff like that. There's families that have never recovered. So, and my heart goes out to those people, and I do want to fight back to ensure that uh, those things don't happen, again.
Yeah. Well, I was at a vaccine like open discussion last night in my area in Williamson County, and it ended with somebody asking me like, "What is it that we can do?" And I wanted to say like, there are reinforcements coming. We have a short list of champions in each chamber, people who will go to bat for us regardless of the consequences. And to know that come November, that's going to at least double, and most likely triple, quadruple is it. It makes me extremely optimistic. It'll definitely make my job a lot easier. So I appreciate having the cavalry there on its way to Austin to shake things up and reform, especially like you said, somebody like Shelley Luther, who truly put it all on the line in protest to what was happening in our state. That's supposed to be a beacon of freedom and liberty. So I'm excited to get you into the house. How can people learn more about you, support you, donate, block walk, etc.?
Well, first and foremost, I need to say thank you to you guys because you guys did phone banking for me. There was people from your group that block walked and never block walked before. Hadn't really even been politically active until
Mhm.
they got involved with you guys. And then when they met me and talked to me, and they love me as well, just like you guys do. And I thank you for the recommendation and all the support that you guys granted me throughout that campaign that we had for the primary. But how people can reach out to me is, first thing, go to our website, which is Morgan, MORGAN, for Texas.com. My email address is info@morganfortexas.com. And in fact, my cell phone number, the only cell phone I've ever had in my life, a number I've ever had in my entire life, is listed on my website because I believe in hearing from we the people, because it's
Mhm.
not my vote I take in Austin, it's the people that I represent's vote that I take in
Yeah.
Austin. So, that's why I've put that out there. But that's how people can reach me. So, cell phone, email, website. I think there's even a chat thing on the website. There's a donation link within there as well. And I appreciate all you guys do to go fight for our freedoms and the fights that you guys have been working on for more than a decade now here in Texas.
Yeah.
I've heard many stories from people that have worked with your group. In fact, 4 years ago when I ran was when I actually first became aware of you guys. And I have to tell you the story just because it's great. I heard a story of a Navy veteran who had twin boys that went in to get vaccinated, and they both, they both needed shots. So they had them in the same room, set them up, and they accidentally gave one of the twins 2 doses.
Mm.
Uh, and so the other twin didn't get any, and then it uh, severely disabled the one twin for the rest of his life. He will be disabled. And that him telling me that story, sitting, across the table from me, actually brought me to tears. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you. That grown man, he was in tears, and this is a big, strong Navy veteran that's there doing it, and the love he has for both of his sons, and how he saw that one's life was changed forever because of an incident, an accident that was very unfortunate. Touched me and moved me in a way that you know has forever scarred me, if you will, and will remain part of me forever.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. It's heartbreaking, and I wish it were an isolated story. It's unfortunate that our movement is overflowing with similar tragic stories, and I appreciate that you took that to heart, and you'll be taking that man's story with you to Austin to advocate for everybody's right to informed consent and medical privacy. So thank you so much. I look forward to working with you, and please keep in touch with us and let us know what we can do to help.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you for listening to the Shot Callers podcast. Please, if you found value in this content, rate us and share the podcast with a friend. It's a great way to get the message out and to empower everyone to make informed decisions. Until next time, never forget, we are the Shot Callers.